Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. What a win we just experienced. Finally, the Giants seem like a competent team, especially on defense, man. The defense looked like the top 10 unit we've expected them to be this entire year. I was pretty impressed. I mean, Quincy Roche coming into the end of this game, finishing it off with that red zone fumble. He looks like a good young player. I was really happy that they utilized him more than Ocean Eximenez this game after that offsides penalty on the Darnay Holmes interception, which really lost the Giants last week. And now you have Roche coming in, really taking over his snaps, and he had a tremendous game. That big last moment was huge for them, and I really hope that the Giants can finally start to turn this season around at least a little bit. I was really excited about the coverage. They really confused Derek Carr a lot of times. I was happy to see the secondary, Xavier McKinney with a pick six and another interception to really ice the game at the end. The offense looks as incompetent as ever, aside from the efforts from Devontae Booker, who looked great. They did not get the ball to their receivers. Kadarius Toney was basically a non-factor, and Kenny Golladay as well. I was kind of disappointed in that, but it seemed like maybe they were either scheming away from them or they just didn't look their way. I'm not really exactly sure, Anthony. But when you looked at this game as a whole, I'm pretty excited about it. I'm really happy we were able to walk away with a win against a pretty good Raiders team and take advantage of a good quarterback in Derek Carr, who's arguably having his best season to date. But what is your initial impression after the win?
I think the Giants defense is phenomenal. That's my initial impression. I mean, that's 3 games in a row that the Giants defense has held opponents under 20 points. It's a phenomenal victory from the New York Giants defense. Patrick Graham called a great game, a lot of single high safety. Xavier McKinney had a breakout performance, like I've been saying he's going to have eventually. Everybody knows, if you've been keeping up with this channel for a long time, I'm a huge Xavier McKinney fan, always have been since before the draft. I was a big fan of his, thought he was an absolute steal when the Giants took him in the second round last year. Course, he was injured, didn't get to play that much, played at the end of the year, looked great, and now looks phenomenal. He's ball hawk. He's rangy safety at the back end. He can bite down on passes underneath in the flats and take them home for pick sixes like he did today. He's a great, talented player, a young player that the Giants are going to be able to build around for a very long time. Very excited by what he was able to accomplish today. And also Quincy Roche. Quincy Roche looked great, 4 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble to seal the game. That was a phenomenal performance by the rookie who went undrafted, signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, was waived. The Giants picked him up. The great thing that they did, because that was an absolute steal. This is a guy that a lot of people thought should have went in the 3rd round of the draft. Went undrafted. Now he winds up with the Giants and is making an impact as a talented young player on the Giants' talented defense. I thought we got good games out of, yes, McKinney, but also Logan Ryan played well. I thought James Bradbury played a pretty good game, and even Adoree Jackson played really well. This Giants secondary looks like what we envisioned it would be going into the season. They're finally clicking. They're finally playing up to speed, looking like the unit that we always knew they could be, and now they finally are. The Giants offense, we can have a whole discussion about that. I think they played a very good, sound football game. No, it wasn't exciting, but they did what they needed to do. This is so clear and obvious that the Giants' offensive line is limiting the Giants' playbook offensively so badly. They're not comfortable throwing the ball downfield unless they're taking some specific dialed-up shot plays. But overall, the Giants' offensive line is literally holding this Giants' offense back so badly. Hopefully, they go through the bye week. They come out with Andrew Thomas back on the line. They can go into Tampa Bay and maybe pick it up with another win, kind of string together something on the season. This was a great win versus the Raiders, but the Giants' offensive line needs to improve so that this offense as a whole can improve going forward.
If it wasn't for the running game, we would have lost this game straight up. Devontae Booker looked awesome. The second efforts he showed, making something out of nothing, picking up that 3rd down at one point. It was 3rd and short. He looked great. They were the reason the offense was even competent by any assessment, was Devontae Booker. I was really excited to see him have a really good game, really a second consecutive good game. So shout out to Devontae Booker for really picking it up with Saquon out. But I will say this, I think Booker fits Jason Garrett's scheme more than Saquon Barkley, and it's pretty obvious. Booker is a hard-nosed power runner who churns out those extra yards, and Saquon Barkley just isn't that type of runner. When Saquon is healthy and he comes back, I'd like to see them use Saquon as more of like a glorified scat back and not really force him into these halfback dives, because Booker is just better at picking the hole and making guys miss at the first level and then taking advantage of that and churning out extra yards. This is not Saquon's game. So I was really impressed by Booker. I was, really happy to see him having a good game there. But like you said, when the offensive line plays well, I mean, they need Andrew Thomas back, and it's quite obvious. And I'd really love them to put Matt Pert at right tackle, because Nate Solder, again, just got dominated by Max Crosby all game, which was to be expected. But I asked a question during the game, who was worse, Eric Flowers during his New York Giants era or Nate Solder? And a lot of people seem to think that Nate Solder was worse than Eric Flowers, which is just an example of how abysmal he really is. And at right tackle, for that matter, not even at left tackle. So, now we got to be thinking about the future here. I think Matt Pertz looked good enough at left tackle. He should be getting those reps when Andrew Thomas returns. But the defense, like you said, man, the secondary was freaking awesome. They looked like a top 10 unit today. They confused Eric Carr, the pick six by Xavier McKinney, the icer at the end. They were just all over the place making plays. Logan Ryan was really the catalyst on that last interception by McKinney, forcing Derek Carr to audible at the line of scrimmage, and then him taking that shot downfield. And McKinney saw it on film. They saw this on film exactly, and they dialed it up. And he took that interception and really gave the Giants offense an opportunity to walk away with some more points and pad that stat sheet. But the red zone defense was phenomenal. They held them to, I think, 3 field goals, and then they had a fumble at the end in the red zone when, they've been scoring touchdowns traditionally this year. So really great job by the defense to bend and not break. That's the defense that we saw last year. And especially since we're missing Blake Martinez, we have Tate Crowder, we have Bernard McKinney. We have a lot of really big weaknesses at linebacker, and they really covered them up pretty well. Some young guys, 2 rookies at outside linebacker played better than any of our veterans in Ocean Ximenez and Lorenzo Carter. So that was a huge, huge thing for me. And Daniel Jones, his stat sheet was a little weird. 110 passing yards. The guy, the leading receiver was Evan Ingram, I believe. Let's see, with 38 yards, and then Kenny Golladay with 28. So the receiving game was just dead in the water. Kadarius Toney, I saw him wide open on a couple of crossers, and they just did not throw his way. They were clearly just, and I saw him visibly alone looking around like, you could throw it to me. Like, I'm open. And they just didn't throw it to him. I don't know, Anthony. Do you think they were just using him as a decoy in this game? He's still injured. They don't want to re-injure him. Like, what do you think is going on here? Because it was quite obvious that they're just not throwing it his way. He's just not getting the football.
Yeah, there were a few plays where I saw him wide open on shallow crossers, just not getting the ball. He did have a nice out route for a first down late in the game versus a linebacker. That was a good throw, good catch, good pickup of a first down. But for the most part, they really just tried to use him as a gadget player. You guys know I hate that. I hate the fact that we're limiting Kadarius Toney down to being a gadget player, because we have personally seen that game against the Cowboys, that game against the Saints. We've seen him play as much more than a gadget player. We've seen him line up out wide and toast cornerbacks to gain yardage. The Giants didn't really allow him to do that today. They didn't really put him in the position to do that. They did not run their offense through a passing attack. They ran a run-first offense, absolutely. They really only wanted to run the football today, and everything else was secondary. Everything else was complementary. The pass was absolutely complementing the run today. So for Kadarius Toney, no, it wasn't a good performance. It definitely hurt my fantasy team putting him in my starting lineup. But overall, this is just one game. I think this was just today's specific game plan. I'm thinking once they get Andrew Thomas back, they're going to open up the offense a bit more. They're going to start throwing the ball a bit more, because they just haven't been ever since Andrew Thomas was injured, right? Ever since Andrew Thomas was injured, we have not seen the Kadarius Toney that we knew. We have not seen the Daniel Jones that we knew. We just haven't seen them run a vertical passing attack, or any passing attack for that matter. Okay, they're just going with the running game. They're playing to their offensive line strengths. The offensive line right now, bad in pass protection, good in run blocking. So let's run an offense that plays to that strength. That's exactly what Jason Garrett's doing. It's boring. It's vanilla. It's not fun or enjoyable. It's super conservative. It's all those buzzwords that we hate to hear when talking about an NFL's offense. But right now, it's working for the Giants. It worked against Carolina. It almost got the job done versus the Chiefs, and it did get the job done versus the Raiders. So until the Giants improve this offensive line or get Andrew Thomas back, they're probably going to have to continue sticking with this run-first approach and letting Daniel Jones be the complementary piece to the Giants' offense, along with Kadarius Toney and the rest of them. Of course, they're still trying to get healthy. Toney's still banged up. Golladay looked good. He looked healthy, but he's still probably banged up and getting healthier day by day. So just wait for all these guys to get healthy. Wait for Andrew Thomas to return to the lineup. And then I think you can see Daniel Jones start to sling the ball a bit more and gain some more yardage through the air. And hopefully Kadarius Toney can get a little bit more involved.
Yeah, and what really pisses me off the most is knowing that this team is a couple of plays away from being a totally different situation. You know what I mean? Like, we're Kansas City last week. If Ocean Ximenez doesn't jump offside, maybe we're talking about a team that's 5-6 right now. If they, if Dexter Lawrence isn't offside in the field goal, the Falcons game that we were at, if they win that game, we're talking about a team that's probably in the hunt for a wild card spot. And it's just a lack of discipline, which ultimately goes back to coaching. The offense, the defense is finally taking shape. We're seeing them take a big step forward. I think Xavier McKinney looks like a whole new player compared to what he did to begin the year. He's really getting into form here. So that's really good. I think Roche and Azeez Ojulari are the new starters at outside linebacker, and it shouldn't even be a question about it. I don't think that Lorenzo Carter or Ocean Ximenez should be getting reps after the performance they had today. I think that go young at this point. At this point, you're what are you 3-6? go young, start to develop these guys, start to get them some momentum. Azeez Ojulari made a huge play on Josh Jacobs on a screen that he sniffed out. Really, really smart heads up play by a rookie there. They look good, man. The defense looked like a top 10 unit. The offense is so far behind, it's not even like comparable. It's mainly because Daniel Jones has no time in the pocket. Yes, he didn't have great pocket presence on that fumble, by the way. Although he was hit from his blind side, he should have, got rid of the ball or ran for it or just maybe held on to it tighter. That was a bad fumble, but I'll say Matt Pert got destroyed by Yannick Ngakoue in the same kind of situation. And the one play that he had a good pocket was a touchdown to Evan Ingram, and it was a freaking dime too. It was a beautiful throw. So that was like the one thing that I saw. Daniel Jones had that one bad moment. The rest of the game was clean. That one first down he picked up at the end with that run where he did a spin move, little freaking Daniel Kadarius Tony Jones out here looking great. And he really wanted to win, man. You could say, I'll say this, Daniel Jones does not lack effort. There's been no point in this season where I said or I've ever seen him lack effort. He goes full speed. He goes like head first, trying to make plays for this team. He wants to win. So I'll give him that. He's not giving up hope whatsoever, and I respect that for a quarterback on a team where the offensive line is in shambles and all of his weapons are injured. That's a pretty ballsy thing to do. I give him respect for that, Anthony. But in the state of this team right now, you're looking at the narrative. If this team has a couple different plays go their way this season, it's a whole different ballgame, a whole different situation. How does that make you feel knowing that we're kind of like so far but so close to being a wild card type of in the hunt there?
I mean, it's disappointing that we're not in the hunt, that the Giants are probably still looking at being a team with a top 10 pick, maybe top 15 now because they are stringing together some unlikely wins. So, yeah, it's disappointing because this is a team that has talent and it just seems like it doesn't have the right coaching staff. And it's crazy because the Giants have the largest coaching staff in the NFL. They have so many players or so many coaches hired on the staff. And Joe Judge has preached this, preached that, but ultimately we've failed to really live up to and deliver on those promises, right? Joe Judge has failed to deliver on many of his promises that he's made. It seems like every now and then they're starting to deliver on them, but ultimately might just be too little too late. The 0-3 start to the season is always going to come back to haunt the Giants because that was their easiest stretch on their schedule. The first 3 games was their easiest 3 games. So now they're going to have to go through the rest of the year and they're going to have to pick up a lot of improbable and difficult wins if they want to get into the hunt. So very unlikely that they do manage their way into the hunt at this point. Of course, like you're mentioning, Alex, they win against the Falcons. They win here and there. They win against Washington and they beat the Broncos. We're talking about a 6-6 team, right? Or a potential playoff team coming forward, right? They're 3-6 right now. We could be talking about a 6-3 team instead. But those little mistakes in crucial moments of the games cost them big time. It's going to cost them their season. Ultimately, it's unfortunate, but at least the Giants can take what they're doing right now, build on it, try to finish the season strong, and maybe Joe Judge can earn his job back because he was on hot seat, right? He was putting himself on a hot seat recently. A week ago, we were talking about maybe firing him. But you go forward here. Like I said, that Chiefs game was not the blow-up game, in my opinion. That was not the game that blew things up. The Giants fought hard. They played well against a team that's better than them, a superior team. So hopefully Joe Judge, he can continue to string together some wins, keep the locker room together, keep the players on his side, and maybe he can go into the offseason and maintain his job status. Because yes, it was in question a few weeks ago, but if he continues to do this, grind out games like this, it's ugly, but they grinded it out and they got a win unconventionally. So honestly, this is a game that you could probably say was won by coaching because it was a very unconventional win. This was an impressive performance by the coaching staff in my eyes. This was a job well done. I thought the clock management was a lot better as well from Joe Judge. Clearly, the headsets were working today. This was a good job. If he can continue to have games like this, grind out some tough wins, he can probably keep his job going into next season, and maybe the Giants can just pair a really good general manager alongside him.
That's what we hope for, man. But I'll say the Giants are one loss. That loss last week against Kansas City. If they win that game, they're on a 3-game winning streak. This is a different conversation we're having right now, but just the reality of where we're at, man. A couple of plays define a season, and that's really what it comes down to. Football is a game of inches, and it's the same way. When you're looking at the record. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this game. A win always makes me feel good. A Monday morning victory. If you can't tell yet, I have a really bad cold right now, but we're toughing through it, and hopefully this win will cure me. A little ginger, little lemon, little Giants victory. It's all I need to feel better. But I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did because I'll tell you what, I needed it today. I needed some motivation. But we'll do some reviews this week about the game. We'll take a look at what went right, what went wrong, especially on the defensive side. I'm really excited to take a look at that. And we'll start to preview against the Buccaneers. That's a huge one, a huge game against the Buccaneers. That's a tough one at that. We have a week off, so we'll get Andrew Thomas back. 2 weeks of no football, rest up, get healthy. Number one, get healthy. We'll see hopefully guys like Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay, and Saquon making their returns, and it's a full health and really making an impact in the passing game. I believe this game is at the Buccaneers, so we should get some good weather, and we should hopefully get not as much wind as they do in MetLife, which would attest to the 25-yard missed field goal from Vegas today, which was a big turning point in this game. But make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. As always, my friends, we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants episode.
TVSO.